Indian advertising is at an inflection point. Creativity is being measured, automated, procured, and in some cases, politely sidelined. As platforms, performance, metrics, and now artificial intelligence reshape how ideas are made and valued, a larger question looms. Who really controls creativity today? And does it still have the power to move culture, not just dashboards? This conversation is impossible without acknowledging Piyush Pandey, whose work didn't just create famous ads, but define the emotional grammar of Indian advertising. As the industry moves faster and louder, the question is not whether that legacy still matters, but how it evolves without being diluted or fossilized. To take on these questions, I'm joined by three of the most influential creative voices in the country, Sukesh, Kainaz, and Harshad, the Chief Creative Officers of Ogilvy, India. From AI and risk-taking to culture, careers, and the weight of legacy, this is a candid conversation about where Indian creativity stands and where it must go next. We are, of course, talking about creativity a lot more in the context of the AI age. And let me ask you this upfront: what does creativity, is it still the most valuable currency in advertising? Does the very definition of what creativity is today need a bit of a rethink, especially in the advertising context?
No, I think let me do a bit of an analogy, if I put it better. So I think our business is about problem solution business. We are in the business of usually there is a reason for someone to advertise. There's a reason to tell something new. If you're new in the market, you tell. If you have some kind of a competition, you want to be better than competition. There's usually a problem. I mean, very rarely somebody advertises when there's no problem. Mm-hmm. And I would use as a parent of a teenager child and someone who's just about reaching 10. Every day, I'm telling you, if I'm not creative, I will never solve a problem at home. Mm-hmm. Even my pet Coco, when I took on a road trip right now, I had to be super creative to talk and connect with her and tell her why am I doing this. So I feel creativity is fundamental of being the better one to solve a problem. Mm-hmm. If you're creative in your thinking, if you're creative in your approach, if you have a creative mindset, you tend to solve a situation or an opportunity, maximize it better than anybody else, because there is a right way, which is the most simplest way, let's say, to go about something. And just like you, somebody else is doing the same thing and 10 more people are doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. If you want to be noticed, if you want to be different, if you want to be unique, you do that. And exactly borrowing from my life, I'm telling you, I do this on a daily basis now. And as a father of three children, if I'm not creative, I promise you, I will not be able to win a day at home. Mm-hmm. So the same thing applies for all our clients, all our partners, because if you're not thinking, if you're mm-hmm. not being, smart about how you go about situation in front of you, you will not be able to come ahead of it. You will not be able to, sometimes I look back and say, hey, that was really easy, yeah. Mm-hmm. But that was easy because you put your mind to it. So creativity to me is putting your mind to do something better, smarter, funnier.
Let me sort of, come into the ecosystem yes. that you all are a part of, the agency ecosystem. And what we've seen, of course, over the past, say, a decade, there is a sense that the influence of creativity is perhaps on the decline. Your view, whether that's true or false, but Harshad, what's your take on that? Where does that authority sit today? When it comes to creativity?
Earlier, at a time when all three of us started, and maybe about a decade and a half ago, the structure was a lot clearer. You knew what the nucleus was, you knew what the outer ring was, you knew what the peripherals were. It's gotten a lot more complex. In terms of linking it back to your question of how has the definition of creativity changed, I think it's co-linked to it. Because at the time when we all started, our profession, advertising and communication, was a lot more structured. Mm-hmm. You knew that creative took this kind of a training. You either came from a art or design background, or you came with the writing, training and then you entered creative. Or you came from an MBA school and joined account management or planning, strategic. But right now, I think what the past half a decade or more has really democratized is the little screen in our hands. Mm-hmm. That has really democratized the definition of creativity. And obviously it has impacted our profession also. So suddenly, the privilege that we as advertising people had, that, hey, you know what, we are creative. We of course still take pride in it. We come with a certain amount of rigor, and having done this day in and day out, I think we are probably a little faster at cracking those formulas and processing it. But that doesn't stop us from acknowledging that today, a jalebi wala in Raipur can be as creative if he's creating reels. That little, whatever, college going girl somewhere in Indore can equally have a following. That's not because, just because they're putting out content. They're putting out content which thousands of people are wanting to see. And that cannot happen without them being creative, them understanding their audience, and them catering quality content to them. And that's what brands are realizing. And hence the dynamics of power are shifting in various directions. Right now, we are also trying to figure out, because suddenly we are all hearing, all across agencies, you are hearing that, you'll hear this reality that, brands are spending more and more on the influencer culture, which is a reality. I mean, we're also coping with that, rather than see them as silos which are against the world in which your brand thrives. I think the key word is to kind of understand it, appreciate it, feed off each other's energies, and collaborate. I think that's the new mantra.
I feel we are living in time where there are so many creators and the opportunity to create with them, right? That's amazing. And I feel the importance is, and I remember at a conference with him, with Bhuvan Bama, and something very nice he said that, hey, if you give me an idea, I would love to take that idea in my way out. So the beautiful thing is that give me an idea. Yeah, that's where the interesting part is. And I think all the influencers and all the creative gig economy, the ask they still have on the table is, give me a concept and then let me take that concept of yours in my way, right? So I feel at the heart, the question that you asked, I think this business that we do is fundamentally, and most of our partners who trust us with their marketing responsibilities are looking to people, whether us or any other agency, be my partner to create that big creative or small creative or multi-dimensional creative ideas. And until we can deliver that on table, I feel we are very much part of the ecosystem. But the day you're out of the sync with it and say, I'm going to just do this and I only do this and I only do this.
Because that's how it was done.
Yeah, then you're out of it, because then you're not needed anymore. Because the problems and the needs have changed so fast. So speed, agility, being able to come up with a concept that is multi-dimensional and at the same time creative enough to stand out in the clutter. Because everyone, the same question, what they say is, I want a viral idea. I wish I knew the viral idea. I'll have my own YouTube channel. I'll be not sitting
formula.
here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not a formula. So, but I feel what we have, I think the three of us have learned, I've seen, in fact, in the last decade, very, very agility and being able to collaborate and be able to have concepts that are multi-dimensional have really helped us deliver on very demanding briefs and create results that have gained not just recognition in terms of awards, but love from people. Because for us, the biggest value currency I think Ogilvy as agency has created, and that's something we take great pride in, our work being shared in WhatsApp groups of people that we know. When it comes
The
back
family
to us,
WhatsApp group.
yes.
Yeah.
I feel nobody,
That's the truest test.
To be honest, we are in the business of advertising, so we take so much pride in it. But the public outside is not in the business of advertising. So they're not waiting. So everyone waits for a trailer, right? Oh, next movie trailer, I'm gonna watch. Oh, next show trailer, I'm gonna watch. Who says next ad I'm gonna watch? Nobody. So if our work, whatever the medium of ad is, if it's not interesting enough, it won't make that WhatsApp group of uncle, aunties, family, school, whatever. So we take great pride in the fact that whatever we do, most of the times we get into those groups. And when it comes back to us, that's the best recognition we feel. And that makes us relevant and very much today's sync of work that we need to do.
So
But
when you get
thing
it back
has
as a
changed.
WhatsApp forward.
Yes.
Yeah. But
Our
one
own
thing
work coming
has
back.
changed, Dilshad. What I feel, what you're talking about a refresh, I think when we joined, all three of us joined, we joined around the same time. It used to take like a small family to raise an idea. Like, for example, okay, there was a creative person, there's a director, there's a client, and between them, the idea would come up. Of course, account people and all of that too. But now I feel that thing has become a village.
Yep.
Because if you see in parallel the amount of offshoots your idea take, even if you wanted to, you alone can't create everything. You need to partner people. How is it going to go into a vertical format, you know? How is your idea going to go on ground? How is your idea going to go on to quick commerce? How is it going to happen? So I think that small family that was raising an idea, that era is over. And everything happens in parallel. That is another thing I've seen. It's not sequential. It all happens in parallel.
In parallel, yeah.
Let me pick on something you said, Harshad, about rigor, right? And do you, and be completely honest here, we spoke about creators, we speak about clients, we speak about all of these people that you interact with on a daily basis. Does it bother you that sometimes maybe that rigor is dismissed as an old playbook or something that, like, you know, in a creator in a small town can perhaps do better? Does it bother you that rigor and that science of advertising, because we always think of it as, you know, just creativity and art, but there is a lot more that goes into it. Does it bother you?
There is a reason why when you take your game up to an international tournament, you know, it could be like the Asia Cup or it could be the biggest stage, the World Cup, you always want to have players who have been through the rigor. That does not mean that somebody who's just played 2 IPL games cannot hit, you know, 5 breathtaking sixers or 3 great boundaries. But the consistency at the highest level in a 50-over game will come from people who have been doing that same thing day in and day out, sleeping it, breathing it, eating cricket, living cricket, so to say. That to me is rigor. And I think while everybody has their, in the overall ecosystem, everybody has their role to play. So we respect the small creator from whichever town, city they exist in. We respect our client's judgment that if somebody has X number of followers, they also have a role to play in that game. But I think our clients are also mature enough and you know, appreciate our partnership enough for them also to understand that when it comes to the longer game, they cannot but have, you know, agencies who do this day in and day out with the rigor to have as their partners, as custodians of their brand. Because, for example, sometimes touching upon what Sukesh and Ganaz have both said, you might go to a creator and of course they might do something which is excellent in their sphere of creativity, but that's a very micro silo. For example, just taking an offhand this thing, suppose we work on, say, a hot beverage, like an amazing tea brand, for example. That creator might give you a beautiful piece which will go viral and probably, you know, travel a lot for the next 2 weeks. But clients also appreciate that the platform idea or the core, for example, I'll just use the line which we have as Ogilvy created for Brook Bond Red Label, Swad Apnepan Ka. That has taken the rigor to go in and create that platform about having an everlasting, you know, a stretched out roadmap which can stretch over a decade, which tells you that the binding ability of the taste of great tea is what brings people together. Then it's easy for not just the agency, for any stakeholder in the system, for example, to be relevant to the brand and come up with an idea. But I think this was just an example, but I think our client partners are most appreciative and knowing of the fact that when it comes to long-term partnership, rigor is the only way to go. That would be my take.
Yeah.
What I feel is a folly. If you believe that there is no place for craft, what you use the word science, but I would use the word craft. I think craft is a very, very important part of communication. And I think a lot of times now people believe that it's okay if the craft is missing, it can be replaced by a certain influencer figure, or it can be replaced by, you know, just following something that is trending.
Speed and all of that.
No, speed is important, but you cannot compromise on craft, because in the long run, craft is what sets you apart from everyone
100%.
Everyone else.
And just to add to this, again, I feel, and since we're talking about, let's say, a creator, I think they have a craft of their own, which is what they manage to connect with the people. So it's craft is something, it's not about how many hours you spend or how many days you spend on it. Craft is about how well do you know what makes you stand out the most in the best manner possible. I remember when I used to do public speaking, I was being coached, you know, and I remember something very interesting, say, public speaking is something that you have to understand. It's not same for all. I mean, one person can stand there and speak so slowly that the whole audience is riveted, and you can do it. It's about what suits you, and that craft, knowing what works for you and what works for what you're creating is the craft, right?
And let's talk about AI at this point as well, right? Because I opened LinkedIn, for example, and there are all these hot takes on how advertising as we know it is dead, agencies as we know it are dead. AI can do this at speed, at scale. When you see the sort of onslaught of such commentary coming your way, or even the work happening, right? We are seeing a lot more AI generated content. We get press releases when when there is an ad created using just AI, and it's used as a sort of whether it's novelty or as some sort of new badge of honor. How do you feel about that? What are you taking away from all of that? Do you think it's just shiny new toy? Things will settle. People will start using AI more responsibly, better. What do you think about it?
So,
Harshad, go ahead.
Okay. So yes, AI is. We have heard all of the things that you mentioned, and you must also have heard one of the biggest defenses that anybody on this side of the fence has said, that AI is another tool. And we stick by that, and not in a defensive way. AI is a tool, and it's a very, very exciting tool. Again, just to kind of give you the simplest of examples, and this is not even like it really happened before, much before any of our times. There was once upon a time when people who could draw beautifully were the mainstay of advertising. That was the golden era of illustration. If you look at the historic advertising, right? Iconic brands right from Coca-Cola to Vicks to everybody has used illustrations. And then somebody invented, just because the term exists today, AI, it doesn't take away the fact that that also was artificial intelligence. There was a machine which was intelligent enough to capture the movement in a millisecond. It could create what a painter would take 2 days to create. And suddenly you had this magic of the photograph. Imagine what people would have thought. This is the end of every artist. Was it? No. But there is also a certain nuance to this. It wasn't like, one has to be seen as the enemy of the other. Like the camera was never seen as an enemy of the craft of painting. They learned from each other. So what it did is, in fact, over history, if I were to use that same discipline, the camera ended up being one of the most valuable tools for reference for painters to perfect their craft.
Right.
Similarly, right now, if I were to come directly to the nuts and bolts of our profession, we have often used this term when we judge, when we mold our juniors' ideas, or you kind of help them craft it. We sometimes let them down gently by saying, hey, you know what, this idea is okay, but it will just pass off as an average idea. What is an average idea? There's nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing great about it either. It passes as a median. What is AI? It's a sum total of an extremely powerful machine at terrific speeds, is taking the sum total of all kinds of creativity and applying it by cracking some formula and delivering something which has been done out there. What AI really, I think the creative community should wonderfully exploit is the fact that if you took 3 days to come up with, to get done with and sift through the average work, what AI can throw at you on an automated, command or a prompt is, I believe, going to be the bare minimum table stakes average stuff. So at least AI can help you. So my factor as a creative would be, if I put in a prompt, which even my client or my, my chauffeur or my house help, all of them are capable of putting in a prompt. So by that definition, everybody should have the same degree of creativity. And if a machine is spitting out a certain output, it could be generative images, it could be a script. If everybody can put in a few words and get a script, then that script is average, because anybody can do it. Then a client doesn't need a creative professional. So what it helps me do is, it helps me sift out the ordinary. And that's where I start using, if a machine can throw this back at not just me, at 10 other people, how should I make my brand's message stand out in that clutter? Where there are 17 such messages, why should my 18th message really stand above that? So I think AI makes us sharper. AI makes us kind of gives a wider perspective on what would be the average benchmark over there. And once you know what the difference between good and bad is, you can actually utilize AI to hone and sharpen it, be it whichever aspect of communication, and really utilize it as a potent tool.
And it'll sort of elevate elevate the game as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Can I ask Sukesh your thoughts? You know,
Yes.
this sort of this formula, this sea of sameness. When will it come to a point where we'll see that elevation as well happen? Because it's still early stages. People are experimenting, tinkering with a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's quick, it's easy, it's fun. When will we see that leap happening?
So yesterday I came across this article on LinkedIn only, funnily enough, you were saying, 40 jobs that are going to be rendered, redundant because of AI. And I went through it. Every job is in it, you know. Every job is in a part of, every job that I know at least is a part of that, that
That
40
list of
jobs that are
40?
going to be redundant. And there may be a truth in it. But I think the truth is that the level at which AI is now, it is at a level where if you are one of the many average people in an organization, whatever that organization and whatever task you're doing, if you're average at that task, you will be replaced by AI. Because AI has reached that level where it can do a competent job. What Harshad has also said, and we have put enough prompts, detailed prompts to see, including saying can winning, this, that, but the quality of ideas that come from AI are always at best 5 on 10. So this is again only pertaining to advertising, but I think that's true of several jobs right now, where if you are average, I think that AI can replace you. If you're brilliant, then I think AI can be used to elevate your game. I think that's the difference. If you're average, you're redundant. But if you're brilliant at what you do, if you're really good, if you are one of the top solvers in whatever industry you're in, then I think you can collaborate with AI to reach the next level.
And that's another thing, right? When we talk about sameness, but it'll give you that sameness. It'll give you that average, that competent idea. But do you find, Sukesh, that what is really missing, and what we perhaps, you know, in this sort of eagerness to explore all of these things and make our lives more efficient all the time, are we missing out on the soul? You know, it's exactly the kind of thing that Piyush would talk about, right? The heart of it. Are we missing out on that right now? Will we get to a point where we realize that, you know, that's the thing that's missing?
So I think it helps me first. AI helps me make some great decks. I must tell you, to be very honest about it. It makes me make great presentations. Bharat Sikka was very, I was chatting with him, and he's working on a book, and he showed me some. It's all about prompts, how you prompt, how you use. So it's, again, to me, it's a tool.
Yeah.
And everyone has a camera in their hand, but some people take great pictures, and most people take very average pictures, as you know. So I feel the way you use it, it's going to be an asset, as an advantage for you to utilize it, use it as a source of, let's say, information, as a source of creation, as whatever. But I'll go back to what you said. The soul lies in originality. And what Kenaz said, and Harsha spoke about it. If 99 people are saying the same thing, I don't think it could be original. And I think most of the times when we hit the ball out of the park, it's not that we were so different. It's not that we were so, oh my God, they went to some, space to do something. We were just simple and we were original. It was the honesty. It was the candid conversation. It was a point of view that was so refreshing. I think that's what our business is all about. And I feel till that is the soul. If those people are writing obituary, I wish them luck. If that's what they want, great for their brands, great for their marketing community, great for whatever. I don't get offended by obituary. No problem. I mean, it's like, I think I would love, see, obituary is wonderful to be written about because, I mean, it just, I hope 10 years down the line we can have the same interview again and we talk about what we did with it. So for me, this business that we love, the three of us love so much, and all of us, in fact, I keep saying Ogilvy is not just, we are the face of creative. If you ask me, Hepzibah, we are Prema as creative. Even a CFO sometimes is as creative as all of us, by the way. Financing, I can tell you many times, this is wonderful. But it just makes, as a team, as a collective, I feel it's a business of honesty, soul, and reality that just differentiates us. We never start anything by saying, we got to be different, we got to be unique, we got to be real. And I think that's where I use anything available in front of me to make that job as best as I could do. And right now, I'm telling you, my idea presentations, if I had to do the same decks the way I do right now, let's say 2 years back, I'll be probably taking 10 days to do it. I can do them right now. I mean, the things that I want to show something in a way that it's very hard to imagine. Bingo. But I have to first think of what I want to show. The machine is not telling me what I should be showing. Machine is helping me, and I'm very thankful for the machine for that, to help me show what I would like to do.
Absolutely. I'm going to switch tracks a little bit now. We sort of, I mean, all of us, I think, know that era of, famous ads, ads that people talk about, ads that people tell each other. Have you seen that? Do you feel the way it is today, with the amount of complexity that has come in, that fear of risk also perhaps, is the era of famous ads waning perhaps now? Are brands, are clients afraid to take risks? Are they okay with just getting by? What is the sense that you're getting now, especially again with tools like AI that can, give you competent output? People are generating stuff in-house. Are they perhaps a little afraid to go into that famous ad zone, stuff that will make people talk, use perhaps brand safety, as a reason to not explore, push the envelope? Just thinking out loud, is that any sense of that happening?
No, see, I think we have been fortunate, I would say, as a organization, to have some partners who have gone, it's a full cycle, and we have been lucky to work and collaborate with people who believe that whatever may be the the reality out there, whatever the business reality is when they invest in something and when we create something which people notice them for. So the challenge still remains, whatever is the output, safe, not safe, average, whatever it is, but being noticed or being seen is the biggest problem they all have currently. So yes, if their business is suffering, we have seen them become conservative. But we are fortunate, I would say, and please add, guys, we have some partners who, even in the hardest times, let's say the starting of a project doesn't feel like we are in some kind of a gloom and doom and everything is dying. No. And because at the end of the day, it's advertising.
Yeah.
So we can't take ourselves so seriously. I mean, we should be, whether it's empathy, whether it is a joke, it's got to be funny. Otherwise, nobody will laugh at it. So we are lucky, I would say, that even today, a lot of people that we work with are on the spectrum, whether the investment in the concept is still being asked. And I'm very thankful for that, by the way, because if we were in a situation where everyone said, let's just do the best or the simplest thing, does it happen? Yes, it happens, because it always will be, whatever we, end of the day, we are a creator. We go to somebody who decides that what should be done sits currently always with the team that's going to take a call. So that relationship is a very important relationship for the work to be brave, cut through, average or common or whatever. So that relationship really defines it, and I think we're still good.
Yeah, no, I think he's right. We are lucky in a way that I believe we have quite a few clients and partners who believe in doing great work. But I'll tell you, it is usually every client's appetite is different, and they're looking for different things. They're at a different point in the journey with their brand.
Absolutely.
So it is up to them to ultimately, decide what their appetite is. But I'll tell you what our approach is. There are some people who believe, okay, if what the client wants, we should give them. At Ogilvy, even when I was not in Ogilvy, I believed that they had the unique ability to show the client what they should do. And I'll tell you who else has that ability. Apple. Steve Jobs always said that, people don't know what they want until they see it. And I think our approach has always been that. It's never been that, even if a client's risk appetite is a little low, our endeavor always is, let's show them, what brave work can do. Let's push them and say that, maybe if you took a risk, the returns could be disproportionate on the brand. So it's never a thing whether we have some clients who have got tremendous appetite for brave work, but even sometimes when a client is at a point in their journey where probably they don't have the appetite, our approach is never that, okay, let's go with the safest option. Our approach is always, let's go with the option that we believe is going to do great for them. And sometimes they buy it, sometimes they don't buy it. It's not always guaranteed, but I don't think we ever go with saying, okay, they want 1 + 1 is equal to 2, let's go with 1 + 1 is equal to 2. No, let's go with 1 + 1 is equal to 11 and show them.
I would first of all not do anything as as an Ogilvyite and as a creative person. I would not do anything that is insensitive for the sake of sensationalism.
Correct.
I wouldn't do anything that is inappropriate for our brand. For example, if I have suppose I have a brand which stands for journalistic courage, and it goes with the territory to call a spade, and if that is appropriate for the brand, and if I know that it is going to not maybe create like some mayhem out there, but get two sides talking and confront the issue bang on, I would do it, because that is what the brand needs. That is what the brand needs to be top of mind, and that is what the society needs. But I wouldn't do it for the sake of sensationalism. But one thing, not just me, I can vouch for our entire soul of Ogilvy, as I would call it. We will not do anything for the sake of it being simply safe. We wouldn't settle for something that's boring. Because I think that's a disservice to the brand which is trusting us and wanting us to be noticed in the sea of sameness.
Right.
But equally, I think it's within our Ogilvyness that we wouldn't compromise. We are partners to the brand. We are not going to leave them blowing in the storm where now we did the ad, now you face the music. We are equal partners to them. We will do it sensitively and with partnership, but we will not choose the safe path just for the sake that everybody can go home happy.
Or the sensational part just for it, because outrage sells. Let's look at the stuff that's happening, right? When you talk about creators, for instance, especially new age brands, they have a far sort of they're hungry for that kind of that attention, that notice, that instant engagement that you get.
But if they get business from it, I would love to and I remember this discussion.
Some of them say they do.
Yeah,
right?
but that's a very debatable topic, and I feel the
what's under the hood we don't know.
No one knows that, but we are infamous for never giving up. So what they very nicely said, like something must be tried on everything till the end, because something must be tried. There could be like just let's talk about a film, for example, right? If it's a very okay, can the voiceover be? Can the music have something? Can we try? Is the end, for example, can the call for? This is the mentality of this place, that there has to be something. And what happens is when you have the never give up mentality, I feel even the most safe human being, persistent really pays off. After a point, the person will say, okay, let's do this much at least, and sometimes that just might work. I remember there was a call for action where on a branded work that there was a click here, everyone said click here, and somebody said, why can't we keep moving the button all over the place? It's a mad suggestion, and the person agreed, and the person said click here, click here, click here, click here, and it was just moving that click button, which was so boring to always be in the right hand corner.
Absolutely.
But the point I'm trying to say that this is the soul of this agency is never give up mentality, which is try, keep trying, politely, persistently, and you have to keep trying, because honestly, till you haven't tried and you haven't asked. We have a famous campaign, पूछने में क्या रहता है? क्या रहता है? कुछ नहीं रहता है. Because I honestly believe that nobody wakes up saying, I'm going to do the most boring work in my life. Nobody. Even the safest person wants to go home and show and talk about this is what I did.
Right.
So if nobody wakes up wanting to do bad work or boring work or average work, then why can't we keep trying? That's it.
What is your not your pitch, but what is your your perspective that you share with younger folks in the agency or people looking to join the agency ecosystem? Not just Ogilvy, right? There are so many choices today. You can start your own agency, from your bedroom, and you'll do just fine. What is your pitch to new talent? Why should they join Ogilvy?
Maybe close to 3 decades ago, just under 3 decades ago, something motivated all three of us to kind of choose this over any other profession, and we loved it. We still continue loving it. I don't think that core potential would have changed for a younger person. The avatars of it are very different. The reason that I was interested in this profession was something which comes out of here and from my heart. When I find expression either through my words or my visuals, and it comes out in whichever avatar, it could be a radio spot, it could be a press ad, it could be a TVC. The fact that it can alter the course of the way thousands of people are going to lead their lives. The next time they are passing by my brand, it is going to slightly make them pause, take those 2 minutes, and probably invest in my brand. I think it's a very heady feeling. It's a feeling of great power, not to be irresponsibly used. There's another wonderful thing which always motivated me about our profession, and I think Ogilvy has exemplified and kind of set benchmarks, is we are not always about serving the engine of commerce and money, which of course is the lifeblood for any profession. We acknowledge that, but so much of advertising is about social awareness. That feeling that something that you come up with today can make this world a little bit better, either through association of your brand or purely beautiful, amazing things that Ogilvy has done in the past before times like Do Boon Zindagi Ki. It is a profession of great responsibility. I would just urge anybody who's coming in that they have many more distractions and attractions than we had when we came into advertising. Of course, you will have great opportunities to serve at the next OTT or an e-com platform or a quick com platform. Everybody, as we know, is having very, very competent creative teams inside. But what advertising allows you to do is it allows you to have 12x the fun in one day. I mean, how many days can you keep working on the same brand and coming up with, of course, some people might find it fun and I'm not judging them. But come to advertising, whatever you're enjoying working on, maybe a brand or two, you get to kind of step into so many consumers' shoes and think like them. Today, you might be thinking like, a homemaker from Ghatkopar. Tomorrow, you might be thinking like this lady who's a banker and probably, working in London. Next, you might be selling like a diamond which is worth lakhs and lakhs of rupees, and you might be selling a 15 rupee soap bar. So I think that complexity and the versatility that it offers, or a canvas that it offers you as a creative person, if you want to tell a story, I think the amount of avenues and canvases and scripts that advertising affords you or gives you right now, I don't think any other profession matches that. That would be my incentive for anybody wanting to join.
Kainas?
Yeah, I feel, Dilshad, that nothing I say or anybody else say can convince a young person to join, because young people are not about being told. Okay? They have to feel it, and for them to feel it, and I know we are doing something right, because if we open our LinkedIn on any given day, lots of people from the best colleges, young people, are writing to us wanting to join. And why are they wanting to join? Every single mail says, because we have been following your work. Every single mail says that, which means that whether we are aware of it or not, the work that goes out, it's reaching the people.
It's influencing and impacting.
It's influencing, and I'm talking about young people. The people who are just out of college, in their first job, working somewhere. And this is across. It's not just, I'm not just talking about advertising colleges.
Right.
I'm talking about other people as well. People from engineering colleges, people from other. We saw that piece of work. We want to do something like that. We saw this. We loved this thing that Ogilvy does. So I believe that the important thing is to keep creating the kind of work that reaches out to everybody. You will not be able to go on a megaphone, put an announcement for everybody, but if you keep creating the kind of work that reaches the right people, then people will come. People will come to you. I think that's what I would focus my energy on.
Absolutely. It'll just draw them in.
It'll draw them in.
So,
My
Kesh?
turn.
Yes, your turn.
Very simple. It's been over 2 decades, and I can tell you, not a single day in those 2 decades have been ever been the same. And I still can't believe I get paid to do this. So it's insane that I get to cry, laugh, get angry, and feel all kinds of emotion, and be able to do stuff that I thought could be. I never really thought this was a fluke as a career that I figured when I was studying. And I'm so lucky to have found it. But if any job that gives you every single day to be so unique and so distinctly different, it's the work, the job that I think will be amazing for anybody who's looking for creations of excitement, if you want to. That's about it.
Telling stories. You know, of course, one of the big reasons why I wanted to have this conversation also, and I think it's perhaps the first that you guys are doing since Piyush passed away. And I mean, it would not be right to not talk about his legacy in this conversation. And I really want to just spend the next 5-10 minutes, maybe just talk about Piyush. We all know the impact that he's had on so many lives, whether it's within Ogilvy or outside. But if you know what, and this may be a little bit controversial. You know, Piyush, of course, had very simple but profound advice on creativity. How do you make sure that legacy is not forgotten, is not perhaps fossilized? How do you make sure that the essence of what he said is not lost in translation with, of course, everything that's happening? Have you all thought about this? Is that something that you all, you know, proactively think about and do, maybe when you talk to your people, clients? How do you sort of preserve the essence of what he said and believed in, more importantly?
I think what Kenaz has said, I think by creating the kind of work that we have all learnt under him and, you know, seen first, learnt, worked with him to, and like you said, I think he was the least complex human being around. And when everyone spoke in jargons, and this business people love jargons. Okay, the more the jargons, I think they feel more, you know, they have achieved something. And he used to de-jargonify everything, and that's what we. And I feel the best way, his legacy is all about the work that makes you smile, cry, you know, get angry, feel something. Everything that we had to do for a project, for something. It was not, and I remember I used to always say that, you know, it's not pure creativity. It's you know, it's commercial creativity. So you have to do something. You have to do something for somebody. So I feel, and we have a thing. What would Piyush do? It's one of those, you know, things that we always say, and even often, by the way, when you're around, we always say, what would Piyush do? It's a very beautiful thing to ask, because whenever I had to go to him, I would leave the room stunned as a, you know, I thought, you know, as youngsters, you all feel like you know it all. And then you go and you have a problem and you come out and think, how did he do that? How did he think like that? So I think he used to always impress me personally, for example, by the simplicity of his thinking. And I would love to, you know, ensure that we carry that along and create work that makes him laugh, makes him smile, and makes him cry. Because everything, you knew, you know, there was a thing. If the work, if his reaction was, you know, a laughter or a cry or a tear, I mean, the work is going to make. Because it was amazing. He knew what India would react to. So that was, I think, and that's something we all have. What would Piyush do? Is a very interesting thing that we all have, and it's something that we have to create, and we have to just build a body of work that. And that time will tell. Hopefully, we will continue to do that, and that, you know, that just shows what he's taught us and what he's taught a whole lot of people here, the entire institution that we have.
Work that he'd be proud of.
Yep.
Kainas?
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
please go ahead. Tell me,
I think
how do you make sure that you know, have that legacy while always being relevant to what's happening around us?
Yeah, so I think a decade and a half with Piyush, 25 years with Piyush, he's in our subconscious by now. Okay, it's not about a book of learnings, or that, you know, every morning I have to think and remember that Piyush was this kind of a man and he believed in extreme creativity. So that is one part of it. He's in our subconscious. His learnings, his culture it's within us. It lives in us, I would say that. The second thing that I would say is that in 2020, when the three of us took up the leadership of Ogilvy, we were handpicked by Piyush. So he must be having that confidence in us that we will be able to take the legacy that he so beautifully created ahead,
The culture.
and the culture that he created, and you know, sort of keep it relevant, keep it fresh, keep it all of that. In the last 5 years, the number of times that you know, Piyush has called us to tell us that he was so proud of, you know, a piece of work that we have created, whether it's content, whether it's film, whether it's, you know, something to do with tech, or our favorite word AI, whichever, whatever it might be. Every time you would receive a call like that, we believed that we are doing something right. So I think the time now for us is to keep that belief and keep moving forward. Like Piyush would say, aage badho.
Absolutely. Love that. Arshad, how do you go ahead? How do you
The factor
proceed?
of going ahead, actually the you know, the sweetest thing about the way Ogilvy has coped with this loss, and I say that sweetest because I think Piyush ensured that, if I were to use a beautiful analogy, it was like a serene flowing stream. Even when he was around, it's not like, you know, things were so insulated where, of course, because of our size, there was probably, for ease of convenience, probably, you know, the three of us were far more closely linked to him when it came to taking in of teachings, learnings, and, you know, everything that Kenna spoke about. It resides in us. It was a part of us. And at that time also, when it would come to imparting, you know, corrections or sessions with our teams, our juniors, automatically that flow of that river was already happening, because we were on autopilot. But, you know, when you work with a force like Piyush, and when you work with a benchmark of that standard, automatically you're holding yourself at the upper end to it, because whatever you present to him better be up to his standards. And when you're judging work, you're automatically kind of, you know, implementing some of the things that you're learning over there. So even without realizing, we have realized that so many of the things which he stood for, the values of the work, or the way, you know, you spot an idea, we have already been implementing it whenever we have kind of dealt with our juniors. And they in turn, I would say, even a senior Ang who works with us, say our ECDs, they are doing that. So a little bit of Piyushism has seeped into the very soil of this place. So I think that's wonderful. So we never really had to kind of, you know, look at a point where, oh gosh, you know, Piyush has stopped being with us at this point, because we know that what he has set in place, which is the most important thing, the culture, that flows through us. We are good conductors of that culture, of that electricity that he was. And I think we are fairly confident that Piyush would have loved us to kind of just look at the road ahead. Because I don't know whether you must have seen this, or you must have probably interacted with him. He never ever dwelled on the past. Never once. Like, we have been through the worst meetings, and sometimes we would shudder that, hey, I think that meeting went off really well. Let's see how Piyush takes it. You know, let's
Really
see.
badly.
Let's see how
Aage
Piyush
badho.
takes it. Will he be?
Yeah.
He just stepped out and said, we were confident when we went into that meeting about the work. I still believe in it. The clients had their reasons for not believing in it. It doesn't change a thing. I love the work. Aage badho. Tomorrow is another match. Forget about this.
I
And
think
that
that-
is,
yeah.
I think, exactly how he's built this culture. He would like it the most if we just kind of hear his booming optimistic mantra of aage badho, because we know that, you know, the values and the, you know, the lessons that he's kind of planted over here are only going to blossom.
Yeah, I think that what we have, you know, put up on the entrance, which is front foot play halo. Front foot play halo was, I don't think we ever walked into anything not being confident and not being, and it is a subjective business. What we know best, we come across, and then someone can. And I think that has a huge, if you don't believe in your work yourself, and if you don't, it's not confident. And I think I see a lot of that trait in youngsters who never met him also, by the way. It's amazing how confident they come and say, they're so sure of it. And sometimes it's incredibly amazing, you know, to see that. And I asked myself, was I like that when I was like 2 years or 3 years in the business? I really wonder that, was I? And it's nice to see that people, and the best part is, like I said, many of us were lucky to work with him. You know, first I remember I ran away from him, then I worked with him, then I worked very closely with him, because all those emotions I went through, because he was Piyush Pandey. And there are people who hardly worked, you know, with him, but they imbibe that feeling, you know, that they have that feeling, and which is what matters, because We are we all about our culture. It's the culture that drives us. It's the belief that makes us believe in a certain way. And I think we do the work we do, or we create what we create because what we believe in. Because we have no doubt in what we believe in. And I think as long as that belief stays intact, we will hopefully make the man laugh and feel good about us.
But I think the telling mantra from all the Piyushisms which have come to kind of stay with us would be this thing that Kenna said. We have heard it so many times, but somehow, and with great, with great blessings and optimism, we can almost hear his voice in our hearts saying, wherever you are, aage badho. Like,
I love
just,
that.
tomorrow is another match. Go play
I love
it.
that. That's the
Enjoy.
spirit. That's the spirit. And I think that's a lovely note to end our conversation on. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you for
me
having
today.
us. Thank you.
And hopefully we'll do this again and talk
Yes.
more about Piyush.
Yes.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.